All right, we're going to call this a part two to the disrespect of Jalen Green. And it's mainly going to be because of the comments that Bill Simmons made on his podcast, a very popular podcast. I want to make that very clear. And Bill Simmons is a guy that I've been following for quite a long time. I mean, in the background, I even have his book of basketball. And a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Bill Simmons. I haven't done my research on what he has done to potentially put off people. And I understand that a lot of his takes when it comes to basketball aren't widely popular. And this is going to be mainly talking about the all NBA rookie teams. Mainly because he has Herb Jones in first team all rookie. And I want to make this very clear. I love Herb Jones. I think he's one of the most interesting players in the league for his defensive versatility, and I think he has a lot more potential on the offensive side of the ball. And a lot of the comparisons have been a Matisse Thybulle because he can cover most positions. I mean, he was giving DeJounte Murray some fits in that playing game. And by the way, I'm not going to be talking about the play-in too much just because I love the play-in. I want to make that very clear, but I don't want to make a whole video on it. I kind of want to wait till they fully happen. The final games are tonight, and I do apologize that the hair is kind of a mess right now, but I will say I'm going to make a playoff video once the full brackets are set, and for the most part they are, but I didn't want to talk about the plans. I mean, they're kind of a toss-up games, and they've been entertaining for the most part, except for a good chunk of them being blowouts, but that Timberwolves game has been fantastic. But that's not the point. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Jalen Green once again. I know I've made probably 2 videos so far about him, and this is probably going to be the last one for quite a long time just because there's so many more important things to talk about. But I do think it's interesting to talk about this as Rockets Twitter was burning the village down quite rapidly. Bill Simmons said something along the lines, I'm not going to quote him. I don't have the energy to put the full clip in there, and I don't want to get strike down for it, but the summary of it for the most part was mainly he had Herb Jones ahead of Jalen Green, and he jokingly said F Jalen Green. Now, a lot of people are just hearing that and saying that he said it in an aggressive way. I don't think that was the case when I listened to it. He said it in a joking way, but kind of like blowing it off for the most part. But it was his reasoning that kind of irked me a little bit, and it opens up a conversation. Should winning really matter when it comes to these all rookie teams? Not really rookie of the year, which that could be the case, and that has honestly been a part of my rookie of the year campaign, mainly just because we've had such a good group of guys that could potentially win it. So usually I wouldn't have winning as a main criteria for rookie of the year, but when we go down the list of guys and we have this set list of criterias and they're so good at certain things, you have to add another criteria to differentiate between the group. I mean, it's the same thing with Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes, and Cade, right? And when I look at those three, and my pick is Scotty Barnes, if you haven't watched my last video, which you should, I have Scotty Barnes ahead just because all three are really good for their teams. All three are really talented at a certain position. For Scotty, it's versatility. For Cade, it's been offense. And honestly, for Evan Mobley, it's been defense, right? So they're all A's at that. So we have to go down the list of different criterias to put them in a certain position. But when you expand that to all rookie teams, right? Specifically first team, which it's not that important. I want to make that clear, but it is a conversation piece. When you expand that to 5 players, then we're talking about who can sneak in. And we're talking, I think it's Cade. I think we're talking Evan Mobley again, Scotty, and then I'm struggling to think of another one, but it's really the debate's been Jalen Green or Herb Jones for the most part, and Jalen Green did not have a good first start, nor did Cade. I want to make that very clear. Cade did not have a fantastic first start as well, and he wasn't handed the keys to the offense as quickly as Jalen did. I do understand Herb Jones does a lot of things that aren't going to be on the stat sheet. When you're comparing the two, it's clear that Jalen has the better stats because Jalen is the focal point of an offense, and this is an offensive league, so a lot of people are going to lean towards the offensive side of the ball. And I want to make it very clear, I would have Jalen Green in the All-NBA rookie first team just because of his remarkable end to the season, and I didn't think he had as bad of a first half as people are making it, nor did Cade. I mean, they're rookies. I completely understand if they struggled a little bit, not to mention Steven Silas didn't really put him in the best position to win, and once they fully went into tank mode and let Jalen do whatever he wanted, he started to get confidence, and he had a really good beginning of the year, to be honest. I mean, I believe it was either January or February at some point Now, I know past the All-Star break is when he really started to break out, but he had flashes where he was averaging about 18 points and about 40% from the three. And the problem a lot of people are having with Jalen Green being in the first team is just because Herb Jones defensively is so impactful, and he is such a flex when it comes to the Pelicans lineup, and he helps them win games. And that's where we get into this debate of should winning really matter. And in this context, it's really tough to differentiate because the Rockets are the worst team by record. I don't think they're the worst team in the NBA, but I think they're the worst team by record. Herb Jones is potentially, I think they're in the play-in game tonight. They're fighting for a playoff spot. But there's a difference because there's people talking about Scotty Barnes. And like myself, I mentioned winning when it came to Scotty Barnes. And there's a difference between the two, in my opinion. Just because Herb Jones is not the focal point of the defensive identity. More so, like, it's tough to describe. I think Scotty Barnes has a bigger role than Herb Jones does, and he therefore has a bigger impact on the winning. I think Herb Jones has made it a lot easier without Zion Williamson, and he has been able to expand on his role over the season. But I think the rise of Jalen Green right now you could say Herb Jones has consistently been better, and if you want to put him in there, I get it. I'm not going to be mad at you if you say Herb Jones should be in the all-rookie team first. I just want a better justification, and Bill Simmons, I don't think, gave a good justification for it. He really just said, well, the Pelicans are a winning basketball team, and Jalen Green doesn't provide that to a winning basketball team. When I do think the Pelicans are in a better position, they have a bona fide star. Let's not act like Jonas Valanciunas isn't one of the most underrated players in the league. And not to mention they have Brandon Ingram. Like, that team is more set up, and they should be in a play-in playoff situation while the Rockets are still rebuilding. They most likely will get moved off of Christian Wood and Eric Gordon. That team is not set up to win right now. So I'm not here to debate that Herb Jones is a lesser player than Jalen Green. Now, statistically, we're looking at a guy that would be in a group of players to make first rookie team that has been in some really rough draft classes, and I think what Jalen Green has done on the 30 points per game, I really do think, like, Jalen Green's comments pre-draft, and a lot of people are not a fan of Houston and things like that, and the media narrative that has been surrounding Jalen Green, where there's a lot of people that have been praying that he is going to be a bust. There's a reason why I made the video where I say that you got to stop calling him a bust, and ever since that video, he has dropped 20 points per game easily. The only team that gave him troubles, ironically, was the Raptors, who defensively, I mean, Nick Nurse, I keep saying this every time I mention the Raptors, but Nick Nurse is a menace to society for the lineups that he'll put out. He'll shut out your favorite player easily, and that's why I feel like the Sixers have a good chance to potentially lose that, just because Dr. Rivers is not a good head coach in my opinion. But we'll get that in the playoff video. I know I'm all over the place right now, but Herb Jones is a fantastic defense player, and he showed out, especially in the heat of that debate. The very next game he played fantastic, and so he proved that he could be in that contention. But personally, the reasons why I would have Jalen Green in there is just because he became the first option. When he got touches and minutes, you saw how good he could be. He could be one of the best scorers in the league. He could easily be a 30 points per game scorer in this NBA. I don't think when we're differentiating between the teams, I wouldn't say that winning is a heavy consideration, but when you have to pick one guy to win an award, I get it. But when you're going through a bunch of players, a bunch of good rookies, I don't know if winning should be a top thing. When we have Josh Giddey on the Thunder, we have the Pistons, like, we have a lot of teams that are bottom feeders, but we're giving them credit, but taking away from Jalen Green because his team sucks. It doesn't really make sense. If you don't like Jalen Green, I get it. I don't really get it, but, like, I'm sure you have your interesting reasons, but let's give better context onto why you want a certain player to be ahead of them. And I get it. We're talking about rookie teams. It's not that deep. I want to make that very clear. It's not that deep. We're talking about rookie teams. But Jalen Green should get some more love. He's done a fantastic job, and I want to give myself a pat on the back. Like, I got that correct. I thought he was going to blossom in the second half, and now he's looking like Anthony Edwards 2.0, and he's freakishly athletic, and he's getting better on the defensive end. I think he has way more potential than Herb Jones, and I hope if they do put Herb Jones in there, I hope Jalen takes it personally and works his ass off in the summer and becomes a 25 point per game scorer in his second year. That's what I'm hoping for, honestly, and that's just what I'm sticking with. But if you're at this point of the video, thank you so much for watching. I'm trying to get back into every other day, but it's just getting difficult. We're at the end of the semester for school. I'm sure you understand if you were in school, but thank you so much for watching. Please drop a like, a comment. Let me know what your rookie teams are, what your rewards are. Let me know, because we're right into the playoff season. Who's your NBA championship team? Call it right now in the comments, and thank you so much for watching.